Hey, basketball fans. Thank you so much for stopping by for a new edition of our NBA and FIBA newscast. We are exactly 1 week away from the FIBA World Cup that will take place in Asia across three countries, Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines. The competition is set to start next Friday, so in a week. Also Friday 25th of August. It will end on 10th of September with a new world champion or uh, back-to-back champion if Spain steal that competition one more time. Um, it's always hard to make predictions around such a competition to have a very clear idea of which team, which roster has the best chance to take the title away. It's never easy to make predictions in the NBA either, even though in the NBA you see teams all the time, they play a lot of season games, and you see them evolving over the years, but you always or often have it wrong. So it's even harder with national teams for a few reasons. In one scenario, like the USA team or the Canada team, they simply change their roster completely from one competition to the next. So there's really no way to compare and to have a clear idea of how they're going to perform in this new edition. Um, Alternatively, you have teams who have been more consistent, who have built a roster and stick to it for years. But truth be told, these guys meet during summer. They play in the Olympics, they play in the World Cup, they play in the Eurobasket tournament if they're based in Europe. But they are hardly play together during the year, during the season, because of course they have their own commitment to their clubs and their franchises, and they just don't spend time together. So for the World Cup coming up, it's really hard to have a clear prediction on who's going to take that away. But there are some teams that I believe, have good chances, and I'll come to this in just a second. USA Basketball made very clear since years that their focus was on the Olympics and not on the World Cup. And this is probably due to the new schedule that was set 10 years ago, that now has the World Cup and the Olympics to be pretty much 1 year apart from one another. And that is really, that puts a lot of pressure on players and teams to commit themselves to the national team for 2 summers in a row. And a lot of players don't want to do it. So this is probably something that the FIBA would like to look into, because this has been impacting greatly the rosters and the star players that were set to join this World Cup. Let me go through some of the big names that are not going to make it for the World Cup. Of course, you have Nikola Jokic for Serbia. Nikola Jokic, two times NBA MVP, recently won his first NBA title and Finals MVP with the Denver Nuggets. Of course, he has made clear that he wants to spend the summer, having fun in Serbia with his friends, with his horses, and all his race horsing stuff. Is not gonna be playing for Serbia this summer. His teammate with the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray for Canada, has very recently, 2 days ago, announced that he won't play for Canada either. He decides to take the summer off and rest. Um, Big blow for Canada, even though Canada is loaded with a lot of other NBA talents. They have really made a strong push this year. They want to have a good competition because they want to qualify for the Olympics next year, which is not yet secure for them. In Europe, in Lithuania, we have Sabonis, Damantas Sabonis, will miss the World Cup this summer, as well as Kristaps Porzingis for Latvia. He has an injury on the foot again. Some would say he has been suffering and having various injuries over the years. That's really unfortunate. He has just been traded to the Boston Celtics right there. And just freshly traded and already on the injury list. So I'm not sure how much of it is a real injury or how much of this is kind of a shared decision with the new franchise, the Celtics, to kind of manage him a bit more this summer. But in any case, he won't play for Latvia, his national team. So will Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece, who will also not play this summer. He had surgery earlier this summer and he's gonna take it off and rest for the rest of the months of August and September before the NBA resumes in October. In Japan, Rui Hachimura, who had a breakthrough season or at least playoff run with the Los Angeles Lakers, has also announced that he will focus on his team and on himself and his personal development instead of committing to the national team. So he won't play with Japan, even though Japan is one of the co-hosts for this competition. Rui Hachimura won't be there. Ben Simons for Australia has been going through some struggles over the last few years with the 76ers and then with the Nets. He's uh, impacted with the national team the same way. He won't play for Australia this summer. Ricky Rubio for Spain is also off. Ricky Rubio is not the same caliber of NBA star talent compared to the names I've mentioned before, but it is important to acknowledge that he is a very experienced and strong player in the Spain national team, and he seems to be struggling with mental health issues. He has made a statement earlier this summer to say that he will put a pause of his both international and professional NBA career, which is a big news. We wish him well. We hope things get better for him. And in the long list of those who will not make the World Cup this summer, there's also the French Victor Wembanyama. Unlike the other names, he has never played an NBA game yet. He has had a very little um, involvement and impact on the French national team. He just played a few games with them this season for some qualifying friendly games. But of course, he's still a big name uh, on this list because there is huge expectations around his name. He has been drafted #1 overall by the San Antonio Spurs earlier this summer, of course, and I'm sure that everybody in the basketball fan world would have loved to see Victor Wembanyama play this summer in the World Cup and compete against other nations. He has made clear that he is very interested and tied to his national team. He wants to represent France. He wants to play for the national team in the future, and he hopes to do the Paris Olympics in 2024. But as he just got drafted and is preparing his first pro NBA season, he has decided quite logically so to focus on this preparation with his new team in Texas. So for this long list of players, we really see that there's a lot of stars or soon to be stars that won't make it. So, on a positive note, it means that we should expect the Olympics in 2024 in Paris to be a heck of a competition with probably bigger names making the trip, including for USA basketball. But the other thing that is interesting to note is that with all these stars missing this competition, this opens up a very interesting um, new landscape. Looking back historically, USA has won the World Cup 5 times. Spain has won it 2 times. Yugoslavia has won it 5 times. Of course, Yugoslavia is no longer. Now Yugoslavia, is like uh, Slovenia, Montenegro, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, and so on. So, um, Yugoslavia, what used to be Yugoslavia, still remain a pretty amazing basketball hub, obviously. Spain, as I said, won 2 times. They are the reigning champion. They have defeated Argentina in 2019. It's worth noting that Spain also won the FIBA Eurobasket in 2022, beating France in finals. So, Spain has clearly the momentum, even though with Ricky Rubio missing, they might, go through some adjustments. 1 or 2 decades ago. Pau Gasol, his brother Mike Gasol, and others, they were at the time the leaders of the Spanish team. And at the time, Pau Gasol was never the MVP caliber in NBA, but he was a very highly respected NBA talent. He was clearly, among the best big men in the NBA, and he was, yeah, a very respected talent, playing a lot, having titles alongside with Kobe, with the Lakers, or playing with the Spurs, and so on. More recently, Spain won the Eurobasket competition with someone like William Gomez being the MVP of that Euro competition. No disrespect to William Gomez, he is a great two-way player, very complete guy. But it's interesting to note that while he was getting MVP and winning the Eurobasket title, he was at the same season not able to have much minutes with the New Orleans Pelicans. And he ended up leaving the NBA that same year and moving back to Spain to play for the FC Barcelona because he was just considered by the NBA to be an average guy that make, you know, won't deserve a decent amount of minutes in a good NBA roster. And so this same guy is nonetheless an MVP in the Eurobasket and ends up, winning it all for his national team. So a lot of NBA fans are really struggling to understand how this can happen. And so I think this has to do with both best stars missing the tournament, but also a clear adjustment journey that took place ever since the Barcelona Olympics in 1992. At the time, the Dream Team kicked everybody's ass and was so dominant. And obviously, we know that over the years, the world uh, level of basketball has improved drastically. The level in Europe and the EuroLeague is very strong, and the FIBA rules and the way of playing is really um, rewarding more the team, the team chemistry, the team experience than just power players and individual talents. And so, if we assume this to happen for this edition of the World Cup as well, well, then my prediction is that the team that's going to win this World Cup title this summer is a team that has been together for a long time, that has strong chemistry, that may not have, you know, top tier NBA talents, and yet that has a very strong core that is well coached and that has proven over the years to be capable of playing at the highest level. And so the team that at this juncture, I believe, has best chance to fit that bill is the France national team. So my prediction is that France is going to be, for the first time, the World Cup winner this summer. They have great experience as a group. They are quite senior. Um, they have a coach, the same coach since 2009. He has been coaching France since 2009, so great experience in the coaching staff as well. Nicolas Batum and Nando De Colo are back in the roster after missing out the Euro last year. They're back in the national team and they are uh, critical in cementing the offensive game, but as well as being, at least as far as Batum is concerned, a very impactful defensive talent. Um, they have also a clearer path to the elimination round of this World Cup because they are in Group H, which was on paper a very, very challenging group with Canada. As I mentioned before, very loaded roster with a lot of NBA stars, but while lacking maybe experience and team chemistry, they are pretty new as a unit. Latvia is also in this group, but of course with Kristaps Porzingis not playing for Latvia, the team is definitely impacted greatly. And so, Yeah, Canada missing Jamal Murray, Latvia missing Christopher Porzingis. I believe that France may have a chance to do well in the group. They have to win against Canada next Friday. This is one of the games I will be looking out for the opening day of the competition on Friday, 25th of August. Um, and the other thing about France is that I believe that some of their players, and especially some of their NBA players, are going to have a very strong desire and appetite for, you know, for revenge. They're going to have a taste of blood in the mouth. And then the reason for this is because as individuals, they had one of the worst NBA season in many years last year. And that sounds a bit counterintuitive, but I believe that the fact that Evan Fournier, for example, was benched by Tim Thibodeau and at Knicks for months and has pretty much not played the second half of the season, even though some would say that he still deserves to be treated as a very decent roster player. Um, that's gonna fuel the guy and give him extra motivation to prove his team and his coach in New York that they were very wrong about him and that he can still kick some ass with the national team. He made clear in the media that this competition is for him an opportunity to redeem himself or at least show the stature that he still deserves as a player. But it's not just about Evan Fournier. Think about Rudy Gobert. He has been traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. This trade has been highly criticized. The guy is always being badged by a lot of former players and analysts and commentators and media and so on. The Timberwolves didn't do a fantastic season. Um, Gobert had one of the worst seasons as a player. He was a former three-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year. He had one of the worst seasons in defense as well. So for all these reasons, we could believe that this is going to bring them down. I believe it. Especially after seeing the preparation games that France has played. I believe that quite on the contrary, these guys have a huge like fire in the belly. They want to prove something. Aside for Nicholas Batum, with the Clippers, who sees his impact decreasing. He has less minutes. His numbers are down, and so this is really an opportunity for these guys to reestablish themselves exactly like Spain and a guy like William Gomez did last year in Eurobasket. I think they have a chance. I think they will be able to beat Canada, who is a great talented team, but probably too inexperienced. I think they will take over Latvia and Lebanon pretty easily. Um, and I think they can beat Spain and Germany and the USA basketball team. So that's my bold prediction. We'll see if that happens. But that's where I stand for now. Talking about the World Cup, this remains a fantastic event for the world of basketball, and this will end roughly a month and a half before the NBA season starts. So that's great to have some basketball this summer. The NBA season is meant to start on October 24th with great opening games. We definitely look forward to this. But before the NBA season starts, this World Cup is gonna get us all excited. And I'll be in the Philippines for the semifinals and the finals. I very much look forward to it. I hope to see the French national team, fulfill my prediction. I will be there no matter what, regardless of the teams that are making it to the last four. And that will be a great opportunity for me to put new content on this channel, give you some insights of the competition, some real footage from the venue, and see, what's going on behind the scenes. So I look forward to my trip to the Philippines for the end of the World Cup. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want more updates and news from the basketball world. Thank you so very much and speak to you soon. See you. Ciao.